Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by, and in a packed Sunday chat today, I haven't got much at all. But what we have got is a report on yesterday's Orchid Society meeting. I think it can be summed up by where there's a will, there's a way. You'll be surprised. In addition to that, I've got one new bloom to show you, a rebloom, not a brand new one, and a few surprises that snuck up on me. We'll go into that in a bit, so without further ado, let's go. Okay, yesterday's Orchid Society meeting. I'm the custodian of the Society's laptop, and I thought, you know, our January meeting was cancelled, our December meeting was our Christmas do, and our November meeting was a long time ago. Perhaps I ought to get the laptop out and bring it up to date. It's an older laptop style. It's got a slower tech memory and, you know, speed of the disk, all that. It's slow. Basically, things take time. It works, it's functional, but it's just, compared with my one that I use daily, it's slow. So here, obviously, I can direct wire it to my internet connection, which is the fastest connection you can get. So I thought, right, we'll get it out, plug it in, update the virus checker, because that's had a couple of versions since that was last looked at. Get that done. Always do that first before you play around, and then get Windows up to date, and that can take a while. And then once you've got everything up to date, what I usually do is I run the Windows cleanup, tidy up routine. That gets rid of all the junk that's lying around, temporary files, log files, all the sort of stuff that clutter a thing up. Get rid of that, and then do a defrag, and then do a restart and make sure it still runs. That's a fear I have that goes back several years when an update didn't work properly and my laptop at the time just would not reboot. I had to reinstall Windows. None of those such problems. So anyway, I thought, well, we get it all up to date and we'll take it with us, which I don't always do. 9 times out of 10 when we've got a speaker, they bring their own kit. And yesterday's speaker was Helen Milner. Now you can Google that lady. She's a famous lady. Does a lot of electron microscope investigations. She was the lady who discovered what those 3 antennae are up to on the Restrepia blooms. And she discovered that at the lowest possible highest possible magnification, lowest level of, you know. And basically it's complicated because the 3 antennae are around the centre of the plant. And she discovered that each of those antennae are giving off a pheromone type thing to attract insects, yeah? So it's like a fragrance, I suppose. This is at microscopic level. And what she discovered is obviously the concentration is in a circle. Well, there's 3 circles, and in the middle they cross over. Where they cross over is over the centre of the plant. So they are magnifying the attraction to the centre of the plant. And that could only be done at that microscopic level. So a lady I listened to when she speaks, and it was about mounted orchids, you know, even, yeah, this will be good, I thought. So I got there, and I was early, saw the caretaker guy, got the invoice sorted out for booking the hall, and sat and had me sandwich like I normally do. Lynn arrived, chairman, big worry face. Oh, what's the matter? I've had a phone call from Helen. She's broken down up the A34. Can you go and get her? And I thought, under normal circumstances, I'd have been off like a rocket, with the worries in my mind that the A34 is a dual carriageway with a barrier down the middle. So like, she's going to be on that side and I'm going to be on this side, and I'll have to wave and go up to the next place where I can come round and back down and pick her up. Anyway, unfortunately, my car was nearly empty. I'd where my son came over to help with getting the garden stuff over, I'd done 2 trips to his place to pick him up and then run him back again, which I'd forgotten about. So my car was very low on fuel, and I'd left it to the last minute to leave, like one does, you know, well, nearly the last minute. So I set off thinking I've got enough fuel to get there, and I'll get fuel immediately I leave. There's a service station just up the road, so I thought that'll do. Right, sorted. Of course now I'm expected to run off into nowhere, not knowing where I'm going to get fuel. So I said I can't do it. Nobody else would have volunteered. So what are we going to do then? Well, I'll go and chat to Helen again on the phone. This is Lynn. So away she went. She came back and she said, Helen's got this idea that we could do the presentation via Zoom. And she said, and you're going to have to do it. So anyway, first of all I said, if she's going to set up a Zoom presentation at her end, for us to get at it, we will need the presentation ID and the passcode to get in, plus the laptop hasn't got Zoom on it. Yeah? And we will need a decent internet connection at both ends to do the Zoom presentation. That's what we're going to need. Now let's find out what we have and haven't got. So first of all, get the laptop fired up. Well, at least I knew that bit was going to work. Next, we need an internet connection. Well, the building where we have our presentations has got Wi-Fi and it's free. All you've got to do is find where the flipping password is. Anyway, it was on the notice board out in the hallway, so we got that. Lynn took a picture of it on her phone so that she could type it in. So we got the internet connection going, and I'm supposed to be treasurer, sat on the flipping desk taking money for subs and people who want to pay things, you know, and want receipts written out and all that sort of stuff. Luckily I had a helper. Jane was sitting there doing most of that so that I could sort of help with the other stuff. It's all getting complicated. Anyway, poor old Lynn hadn't used a Windows PC for some time, so what does that do? Where's this? Where's, you know, like you do when you change platforms. Anyway, we found the place to download Zoom, and I left Lynn to get on with that and let me know when it was done. And in the meantime, Helen has been picked up by a recovery vehicle and is now heading off to a motorway service station in the opposite direction to where we are. So it's a good job I hadn't gone to get her, because I'd have been chasing her to get her, because she was going, like, she would now be heading in the same way as me. So anyway, to cut a very long story short, Helen, in her vehicle, while the parts were being ordered and that for the repair and everything like that, set up a Zoom meeting, which then arrived on the laptop. Obviously, we put through the projector onto the big screen, so we could see, you know, and it's a phone view, you know, as opposed to a wide presentation that it would have been, you know, had she been in the building and connected up direct to the laptop. But we managed a presentation by a person sat in their car in a motorway service station on a mobile phone through a manky old laptop that runs really slow, projected up on the screen. But we couldn't hear her because the only sound we had was through the laptop speakers. So Lynn said, "You're going to have to speak loudly, Helen, and you lot are going to have to be very quiet." And for the duration of that presentation, you could have heard a pin drop. I have never known the Wessex crowd be that quiet, ever. Because there's quite a few in amongst there are hard of hearing, and quite a few of those are couples. And they think they can whisper to each other and nobody can hear them. But where they can't hear very well, they don't realise how loud they're talking. It's very distracting. But they are quiet as a mouse. Absolutely quiet. You know, no chair shuffling, no rustling sweet papers, absolute silence. We still couldn't hear very well and we couldn't see very well, but we had something. The alternative was nothing. Just have our cake and coffee, have a natter and go home. But because of that failure, it always preempts, it's always you get a failure, then you plan so that you don't let that happen again. In future, I will take my laptop in, and on my laptop we would have access to all of my YouTube videos, and I will have the sound card and a connection up to our loudspeaker system. If the speaker failed to turn up, we could all just sit and watch one of my videos. So unplanned, unprepared, just like put one of the Sunday chats up. At least it's something which is better than nothing. And it's video, and we would have sound. So for next time. But yeah, a Zoom presentation from a car via a mobile phone. So that was that. Now, the film I took of the plants, we had a new member who was very worried about bringing a plant in, only got first in the novice section. Worry not. Like I said, if you leave your plant at home, you ain't going to win nothing, are you? But yeah, she was well pleased. But the film I took of the the plants that were brought in for, you get points competition at each meeting, and then there's a prize for who gets the most points throughout the year. I didn't take anything in. But what I'll do now is I'll break off so that you've got something other than just me talking, and we'll watch the video of those plants now, and then I'll come back afterwards. It's only short.
Coming your way.
Shift the slate, have a look at the pilot lights. I shifted mine from the vaccine to the landscape. She said
Right, we're back again. I don't know how long this video's gone so far, but that news was a bit longer than I expected. But what a story, I bet that's never happened anywhere, and will hopefully never happen again. Right, new blooms. It's only my zygo, but I say it, as though I've been growing zygos for years with much success, which I obviously haven't, and those that know the story, I'm lucky to have any alive from past experience. But the unnamed zygo hybrid has opened its first 2 blooms, one yesterday and then another one was opened today when I had a look. And quite honestly, these blooms really typify zygo hybrids to me. They've got the classic shape where the petals and sepals face you, but the lip is almost horizontal, like a platform. So you have to tip the plant to be able to see the colour on the lip, and I hope all the bark don't fall out, because that combination of colours to me is almost perfection. The patterning, look at the shape. You could draw a circle around those petals and sepals and touch the point on every one of them. And then you've got that deep, deep purple on the lip. So to me, that is absolutely gorgeous. And we got 2, 4, there'll be 6 on that spike, and 2, 4, 5 on that spike. And they will spend some time where they're both open together. Now, you think, oh, you can take that to the show then. Look at the plant. The plant is not at its best. But it's blooming, it produced a new growth, and it's produced some new roots. So a zygo in bloom, we like that. There's another zygo with a spike over here as well. That's the Louisendorf, which I'm quite looking forward to seeing again. I had one, lost it, and because I liked it so much, I got another one. And that one is actually, why am I putting that back? It's in bloom now. We'll have that out. That can go on the display area in a minute somewhere. Getting a bit short on space on there at the moment, but there's one can probably come off now. So yeah, we'll hook that out. Another reason for hooking it out is that the spike is starting to arch with the weight of the blooms and is almost touching the window, and obviously if it touches the window the cold glass will blast the buds, so we don't want that. So that's the only new bloom. The Laelia anceps has got the second bloom is open on that. And there are only two. I've got a feeling, not only did I have 2 spikes last time, but I think one of the spikes had 4 blooms on. Can't remember, but so we've got both out now. Looking nice, even though they're up in the roof, and that can stay down now as well, because when the blooms are up in the roof I can't really see them. And they don't last too long, so we'll have them on a lower shelf while we're at it. Right, that's that. Don't let your coffee get cold. And then we have some surprises. Given the time of year, I am surprised, but things are tucked around here, and these things don't get watered. They don't get watered because they're resting. So I'll try and get it out. See, whereas before I could whack this around because it was resting, now I can't. Now I've got to be ultra careful. No buds on that cane. Oh, now it's going to rain. That could get noisy because it's already blowing a gale out there. So all the nodes on this cane have got their buds, and they're moving away from the cane already. Not even the end of February yet, and all the other canes have bloomed, so they're unlikely to have any, but occasionally they find a place to push out 1 or 2. Now this plant didn't grow very well last year. It got remounted, which is a major disturbance, which I was sort of half expecting it to not bloom very well, and blow me. This little cane here with the leaves on, if you look carefully, also has buds over virtually the whole length of it, on the opposite side to the leaves obviously. So 2 canes are going to bloom. Now that I am surprised about. And these were kikis up this side. These were kikis that were planted to bulk the plant up basically. But I'm surprised to see the buds on that this early. But there we go, and even that little cane there is going to bloom. And that little cane there is not on the main plant. So, bonus. Resting Dendrobium number 1 has got buds. So obviously the light level is good enough in here. There's quite a few of these resting Dendrobiums. The cooling down bit, nighttime temperatures, over the years I'm finding that that's the least important. And the most important is the rest business, cutting the food down at the right, or cutting it out at the right time, and restricting the water dramatically, and that bright light seems to be the thing, rather than the actual temperature. But I'm sure if you kept them at 25-30 degrees, they probably wouldn't bloom very well, because they won't rest at all. Right? And then next to that one, rester number 2, if you're going to come out without knocking everything over. Now this is my Dendrobium nester. This also got a major disturbance, got taken off of its mount, lost quite a lot of its root system as a consequence. Kiki got removed and mounted on the mount with it. It promptly grew some new roots, which was good because it didn't have many left after tearing it off the mount. And again, we have, these are not going to be so easy to see because they are literally only just starting. But this one too has buds. So we're going to get some nester blooms, and even this little cane here is going to bloom, I believe. You can see the swellings, yeah, they're not proper nubbins yet. So now what are we going to do? Because I've only just discovered this morning, because I was half thinking I ought to water today, and then I thought it's cold, it's not nice, the light level's really low, the mounts aren't going to be doing much today, they're just sitting there ticking over, so we'll wait till tomorrow and get the filming and that done today. So this one, the buds are showing, they're pushing away from the cane and actually showing the little buds on the tips. These are not giant flowers. So that one, as far as I'm concerned, is not resting anymore. So tomorrow when I water, that will get proper water. That'll get a proper watering, get some energy and that back into here, and then the next time I water it will get some feed. It won't get any feed tomorrow, specifically because it's not a feeding run, it is a flush run. And you know, as I've said, I'm not knocking up feed for one plant. And I haven't got any lying around either. Sometimes my other bowl that I mix feed up in, if there's a bit left over, sometimes I have got that ability to just feed one plant with the leftover from last time, if you see. So that one, as far as I'm concerned, is coming out of its rest. However, the nester is not, because we've got nothing more than nubbins. So all that's done is the rest has triggered the nubbins to show. They're not growing yet, they're just showing. I always wait for the nubbins to change into something visible and grow away from the cane. Now they only need to move about 1 centimetre or something like that, but at that time there is physical growth. At the moment we've got nothing more than a swelling. So this one is still resting. However, in a week, maybe a week and a half, it'll probably come out of its rest. Now there's no point in me looking at the other resters because I know they won't. It's far too early. Things like the Jenkinsii and the Lindleyi, they're still resting. They won't get buds yet. It's too early in the year. They're more likely to produce their buds in March. And that's probably due to the triggering of the much longer days and better temps. So anyway, that surprised me this morning because I wasn't expecting that, and I promptly went and checked anything else that could come into that list. I mean, this little one here, this could come into the same category if it is what it's supposed to be. This is my variety Laos, but there's no sign of any swellings on there. I'm still not sure that is what I bought. It just looks too small to me. But we shall see. I mean, at least it grew some nice canes last year. It's become deciduous, so that sort of matches up. But there's no sign of any swellings on any of the canes, so there's no sign of that blooming. I'll say yet, because it might do. It might do. Still looks a bit too small for me. The Nobiles we've already looked at. We looked at those not long ago, so we know what sort of state they're in. Most of those are in bud. One of them's about to flower. Unfortunately it's buried on a shelf, so I can't get it out. So yeah, so a bit of a surprise there. As I say, others are, although they rest, like the Friedrichsianum rests, my I'm not having a good day for remembering names at the moment. I've got an awful lot to do in there on that table, and it's buzzing around in my head. Hercoglossum, come on. I don't rest that anyway because that grows throughout the winter, so it's not a rester anyway. But yeah, I was pleased at that little surprise. It shows that the treatment they've had, the move of the house, all that sort of stuff has not stopped them blooming. Now I know this year the blooming won't be as good, simply because in those two they both got remounted, so they both had major root disturbance, and they've had a move of house, a change of environment. I mean, I have to admit the humidity level in here is much lower than at the other place, but at the other place it was bordering on far too high, because with those lower temperatures, when you're running at 90% plus, it's an absolute recipe for rot and mould and all those sorts of things to have an effect on your plants. Especially as here I don't have continuous fans running, not yet, you know, as to say. To keep this place at its minimum temperature, the big circulating fan is connected to the heater, and at night that kicks on about every 10 minutes for about a minute and a half. I hate to think how much electricity that's using. So although the airflow isn't permanent, it is there. Yeah? So every 10 minutes or so they get a blast, and the whole of the air in here gets totally stirred up, warmed up a little bit, and then it settles down again. So I'm okay with that for now. As I said, if it starts getting a bit warmer, then we will have to get Hurricane Hector out, and that will have to be connected up to the humidistat, and that will kick in to keep it higher. But there's no point in doing that while I'm using residual heat through this open door. There's no point in trying to humidify this place while that door's open. No point at all. Yeah? So I need my daytime temperatures in here to be sufficient to not need this door open. Then we can get the humidifier out. Far more important when things are growing more actively. As I said, a lot of things are semi-dormant at the moment. Some are actually dormant. Some are probably dying and I don't know it yet. We've got a bit of everything in here. Anyway, that'll do for today. It's a bit of a mix. I'd say. New bloom opened, my zygo, which I'm well pleased about. Some winter resters kicking off. One in particular, and some not very nice weather out there today. The wind is really blowing. Now we've got rain as well, so nothing on the bird table. There was a blue tit and a great tit earlier on, and it's the same two, and whenever one appears the other one's there as well. I mean, they're obviously not a pair, they're a different species, but they seem to be going around together, and it's just the two of them. It's not like there's loads. And when they appear, one of them will dash down, grab something and dash off again, and the other one will come down, dash, grab, you know, they're from the hedge. You know, they spend about 5 seconds on the bird table, if that long, probably only 2 or 3 seconds, and they're gone. And then they come back. And they do that for a while, and then they disappear again. You know, so, but at least they know it's there, and they come every day. And they were there earlier, before this wind and this rain got up, so... But yeah, and obviously I was away a lot of yesterday, so I didn't see what was going on. So, anyway, thanks for dropping by, and the new Project Orchids thing for this year, I'm still having trouble with it. I'm still not convinced that my light bulb moment is the right way to go. To talk about growing orchids in the home when I'm not actually doing it, it does seem a little bit, it's a bit feeble. You know, I'm not, everything here is practical experience, and people understand that, you know, when it's not my experience, I include words like some say, or it is written, yeah, and that means these aren't really my words, this is just repeating what others have told me or said or I've read somewhere, and including read on the internet, but it's not my experience. Whereas most of the time everything in here is practical experience. It's here, you can see it, it's what's happening, and I always try and explain what's going on. So there we go. That's today done. The initial video will go onto my onto the Patreon site for my patrons. Thanks for the couple of new ones that have joined in. The support is greatly appreciated. And as I said, at the moment, that's the only video you're getting, is the ad-free version and early viewing of the Sunday chat, which doesn't get taken up by all of the people that have joined. But I think some people have just joined because they want to support the channel, not for what they get as a member of that sort of group sort of thing, which is fine. I mean, as I said, the support is greatly appreciated. The odd buy me a coffee still happens. Somebody the other day bought me 5 coffees. Well, that will get me from when I get up to 5 o'clock till about 7:30. So, cheers, you've done well. And obviously, if you haven't subscribed, it would be appreciated if you did so. And do the old thumbs up. Keep YouTube happy. Keep YouTube thinking that something's happening on this channel, which it is. Slowly growing, but it is slow progress. But thanks to everybody who is part of the channel. I feel that the people who regularly watch and comment are, it's not a family as such, but it is a community, you know. And occasionally people chat amongst themselves in the comments, you know, get a big stream of comments down here. There's nothing to do with me. I just keep my nose out. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by.